Hey everyone, I'm back with another edition of Cass's Kitchen. We are trying another kitchen experiment, of course, because that's what we do every week. But before we talk about that, I just want to give you an update. Obviously, previously we have made ice cream, and it turned out amazeballs. Not gonna lie, toot my own horn this time. Probably the best experiment that I've done in terms of how it turned out. So I finally went cray cray and made me some Carolina Reaper ice cream, like I've warned that I was going to do. And it's absolute garbage. I mean, not just because, oh my god, it burned me, and I spent the next half hour in the fetal position crying because I scalded myself with it, but because it just tastes absolutely atrocious. So, take that for what you will if you're making your own homemade ice cream. Carolina Reaper may not be the way to go as the star, though if you just want to put it in there as a nasty surprise to anyone and just burn them as they're eating their chocolate or whatever, that's fine too. But just for your own education, it's garbage, flavor-wise. But moving on from that, we are going to try something else brand new today. We hope it turns out. We are going to, inspired by an edition of Chopped that a competitor didn't follow through on, but we were going to try to make pork rind brittle or chicharron brittle, whichever, way you want to look at it and whatever version you're buying of it. So we are going to give that a try. It takes a handful of ingredients. It's kind of finicky, so I'll probably botch it just based on how easily things go from 0 to 100 in terms of everything's okay. Brittle is kind of like the avocado of the dessert world, where it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Oh nope, we're too ripe now, you're dead. So we'll see how that turns out. So thanks to the realm of internet magic, we'll just teleport our way into the kitchen. Okay, so we've managed to make our way into the kitchen successfully. Nobody got killed because Don isn't here to kick me out of the kitchen. So we are going to start with our brittle base. Got the medium saucepan. We're going to turn the oven on to kind of a medium-high heat. We are going to start with 1 full stick of butter, unsalted preferably. Though honestly, considering we're going with the sweet and salty thing going on, it may not matter that much to do salted butter, but we'll find out. Got about a half cup of water. We're going to do 2 cups of sugar. 2 cups of sugar. And 1/3 cup of just regular corn syrup. You can do light, whatever. But it's gotta be corn. Because this is Illinois, gosh darn it. We like our corn here. And we are just gonna switch this so my left hand can get in there and hold this steady for a minute. And we are going to stir it and combine all the items. Whisk! So we are going to stir this till it's incorporated. We want it to be basically caramel. That is what we're going for. And it wants to be probably about 300 degrees for a handful of minutes. And you are definitely going to want to keep stirring this and keeping a good eye on it, because caramel burns. No one wants burnt caramel, and let's face it, for this experiment, we want to do as many things right as we possibly can. I know Cass's Kitchen is not known for doing things right, but things are finicky. We should probably just go with it, try it out. Okay, as this is still incorporating, if you haven't already, we can get some other stuff ready to go. We will need some baking soda, anywhere from a half to 3/4 of a teaspoon is the recommendation. That'll give it some fizz, keep it light and fluffy. And then the most important part I have on the other side of the tripod. Let me go get it. Whisk. Whisk. Some nameless brand pork rinds, which I have lightly crunched. I'm going to crunch it some more actually because they're not that lightly crunched. Initial estimates say about 10 ounces. We'll see how that goes into our pan. We are getting some bubbling action over here, so I need to make sure we are still going. And also you're going to need a cookie sheet or at least a large flat area for this to spread out and cool. For those of you who don't know what brittle is, I question where you've lived most of your life, but if you were a small child, lived in a cave, I don't know, or were deprived in other ways, brittle is like a candy, like almost candy-like, traditionally with nuts of various sorts, but we've gone crazy here. This is Cass's kitchen after all, and we do crazy things. Alright, we're losing most of our butter here. So we're off to a good start. Again, we are going to want this to be god-awfully hot. Again, 300 degrees, past the boiling point of your normal liquid. So be very careful with this because it's also viscous. So if you do happen to get it on your skin, not only is it going to burn you, but it's going to stay on there to burn you. And that is not bueno. So again, we're starting to get some bubbling action in here. It's going to take a little bit of time, but it is changing color as we speak. It's still kind of a butter color, but it's getting a little bit darker, which is good because we're cooking everything down. So once this gets to temp, we're going to add our baking soda, and then we'll start incorporating other things. So instead of making you watch this go for the next 10 minutes, we will take a brief pause, and we'll pop back in here momentarily. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. This is getting to be quite dark. We're going to turn the heat off. Going to give it one more quick stir. Again, be careful. It's hot, very hot. It's still bubbling without the heat. I'm going to add in our baking soda. And it is foaming. Just like the scientist said. My main concern here is making sure that everything hasn't burned. All right. This out of the way. We'll let that go for a minute. Spray down our carrying thing. And let's cool this down with some pork rinds. Doing that batches at a time. Try to incorporate everything. We might not need the second bag of it, which makes me sad because I crunched it. Maybe we'll dust the top of it. We'll get fancy. That's what we'll do. All right, now we got this incorporated. Get that on our baking sheet. Oh no. And changed our mind. We are not gonna do that. Spread this out the best we can. Probably actually should have crunched this out a bit more, but luckily for you guys, I make all the mistakes so you don't have to. Alright. Get rid of this. Whatever, let's just get fancy and let's just sprinkle some of the brittle okay. Now the thing got warm. Alright, we're going to let this sit for half hour, probably more, till it gets cooled down. And then we will kind of break this up and we'll work on our next steps. But I am concerned in my case, because looking at it, I think it's a touch on the burned side. So maybe don't do what I did and adhere strictly to the time frames. Keep an eye on it until it looks caramel, and then get it the heck out of there, because it went from beautiful to, oh, maybe kind of burned really quick. But we'll find out in the name of science, of course. Hi. If you're like me, you have a lot of stuff to do around the house. Whether it's cleaning up the yard from Antifa, or kicking Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant out of your garage, in addition to his street people. You have a lot of stuff to do. And all this stuff takes a lot of energy. It's a lot of work. So, you know, it's natural to need a pick-me-up. Me, I use Ray's Energy Drink. Ray's Energy Drink tastes great, has no sugar, so there's no crash later, and has all the valuable additives that help me get me through my day. And did I mention it tastes great? Because it tastes great. Tastes great. Tastes great. Oh yeah. Yeah, stuff. So, you can find Ray's Energy Drink at GNC or at Hy-Vee, or for a little bit more bang for your buck, if you go to repsports.com and use my discount code CASS, C-A-S-S, you'll get 15% off your order. And while you're there, you might as well check out all the workout supplements that I obviously don't use, or the melatonin packs that I actually do occasionally use. So, remember, repsports.com, Ray's Energy Drink, tell them Cass sent ya. All right, so our brittle is cool and looks like a meteorite. We're not going to properly, oh, there we go. Oh, we're thinking about it. It can't decide what we're focusing on. I even put it up here. Oh, yeah, that's the stuff there. All right, so brittle's cool enough to hang on to it. And I will say it is totally burnt looking. I referenced this, a time or two. It was like an avocado where like it looked great, and then now we're burnt. But that being said, burnt or not, we have to give this a try, don't we? For science, of course. I like the texture, but it is very much burnt. Like the first half second, it tastes like brittle, and then we go right into the char, which is obviously all on me because I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just face it. Burnt my brittle. But if you ignore the burnt part, I mean, it does have a good sweetness to it. And I don't think just overall, I mean, just overpowers the chicharron. Just because they themselves don't have the strong flavor either. And really, like when you look at peanut brittle and your various like seed and nut brittles, the real star is the nut, which is a bit more flavorful than just a puddle of sugar. So even then, even if this didn't burn, I do kind of question how much the pork rind chicharron flavor would kind of disseminate and go with everything. But I regret nothing, of course, because science is all about experimentation and failure, and you just have to get right up and do it again. So we're just gonna and of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention all the ways you can support my little creative endeavors for science. First of which, of course, is hit the like button, subscribe, watch, tell your friends, your neighbors, your mortal enemies. Get the word out that I exist and I'm sometimes entertaining, but not always. Or just surprise them and see what happens. Anywho, also, if you want to kind of help fund my experimentation, I got a couple ways of doing that. First of which is my Ko-Fi. Like one-time donations, every little bit helps. And that's at kofi.com/Casanova. CASSONOVA. And then, of course, the Patreon, where you get a little bit more bang for your buck. That is patreon.com/Casanova. That's, again, CASSONOVA. And over at the Patreon, you get a little bit more bang for your buck, as I said. And for little as $1 a month, you get exclusive access to various goodies and early access to any video or podcast I happen to produce, in addition to those exclusive goodies. And of course, the more money you throw my way, a little bit more better grammar. Maybe if you throw enough money my way, grammar will be better. But, at the higher tiers, you get slightly better exclusives. So that's always a perk as well. And then, of course, I'll just chuck my social media links down in the description. So thank you very much, and I'll see you all next time.